Maybe you still keep that one skirt, the one that used to hug your waist just right. The one that made you turn in front of the mirror and smile, not because it was trendy, but because you felt like yourself in it. But this morning, something's shifted. The zipper feels tighter, the silhouette unfamiliar. And the woman looking back at you? She's changed, not in a bad way, just deeper, softer, wiser. But the skirt, it hasn't grown with her. You're not dressing to impress anymore. You're dressing to breathe, to feel like your reflection speaks your name again. Not a younger version of you, just the one who deserves to be seen as she is right now. If your favorite skirts no longer feel right, it's not because you've lost something. It's because you've outgrown what no longer understands you. This video isn't about chasing youth. It's about 6 skirts that meet you exactly where you are and move with you, not against you. And maybe, just maybe one of them will remind you not of who you used to be, but of how stunning you still are. 1. A-line skirt. Rediscovering balance. Some mornings begin with old habits, opening the closet, reaching for the same skirt that's always hung neatly in the far right corner. It used to be the skirt, the one that made her feel youthful, put together, and neat. But today, as she pulled the zipper up to her waist, something inside her went quiet. Not because the skirt was too tight, but because she no longer saw herself in the mirror. The ease was gone. The naturalness had faded. It felt like wearing a memory that no longer fit. Age doesn't change a woman, it only changes how clothes reflect the shape of her becoming. And if there's one skirt designed to move with that shift, it's the A-line skirt. It makes no demands, seeks no attention. Starting with a gentle hug at the waist, then opening out gradually like a quiet fan, the A-line skirt doesn't squeeze, but neither does it hang shapelessly. Its flare softly traces the hips, visually harmonizing the top and bottom halves of the body. And because of that, she could breathe. Not just with her lungs, but with a deeper sense of ease, where her stride was no longer stiff and her steps no longer restrained. Some skirts make women feel like they have to shrink into them, but not the A-line. It doesn't try to pull her back to the body she once had. It welcomes the one she has now with all its softness, fullness, and quiet honesty. There's no twisting to find the right angle, no leaning forward to hide the belly, just standing tall. And in that stance, she looked elegant because her posture said so. The most flattering length, right around the knees or just below, landing at mid-calf. That's the sweet spot, long enough to elongate the legs, modest enough to feel composed, but never stiff. Anything too long swallows the figure. Too short, and it risks disrupting the quiet maturity she's come to wear with grace. The A-line skirt understands this and always stops exactly where it should. Fabric makes all the difference. In cotton, she finds lightness for changing seasons. In soft wool, there's structure and warmth perfect for crisp autumn walks. And when a little understated charm is called for, maybe on a quiet afternoon downtown or a calm evening dinner, a light crepe allows the skirt to sway like early fall wind brushing past the hem. There's no need for fuss. Pair the A-line with a scoop neck tee or a softly fitted cashmere sweater, not tight, not loose. Sometimes elegance doesn't come from accessories. It comes from how a skirt seems to already belong to your body, even if you've never worn it before. And in the dim, golden light of her room, when she caught her reflection in the mirror, something came back. Not her youth, not her old figure, but a version of herself that's still full of presence, still graceful, still dignified, just in a different way. Because maybe the point was never to reclaim who she was, but to find balance again between a body that continues to evolve and a spirit that still longs to move lightly through the world. And from that point on, every step had rhythm. And with every rhythm came a gentle reminder, you are still here. You are still beautiful, exactly the way you choose to be. 2. Pleated MIDI. A gentle song in every movement. It was a morning with a soft breeze. Not cold. Just enough to make the trees on the balcony sway ever so slightly, and for the early sunlight to draw long, gentle lines across the wooden floor. She stood quietly by the porch, her fingers brushing the hem of her skirt as it danced softly with the wind. No one else would have noticed, but she did. Every step she took this morning seemed to carry its own kind of music. The pleated skirt she wore wasn't new, not designer, but there was something in the way it moved around her legs that made her feel like she had found her rhythm again. Not in some grand emotional way. It was quieter than that, something small, personal, like the soft murmur of femininity still alive in her every step. The pleated MIDI skirt doesn't make her look youthful in the superficial sense. It doesn't press into her curves. It doesn't reveal skin, but it gently reawakens a softness within her, a softness that never left, just hadn't been called by name in a while. The even folds, what might seem like a decorative detail, are actually rhythm made visible. They create a sense of motion that makes the legs look longer, the steps appear lighter, more graceful, and, as she walks, the pleats open, then close again, like a slow, tender melody, one in which she is the quiet conductor. But the beauty of this skirt isn't only in its shape. It begins with fabric. It can't be stiff, it would make the pleats look harsh. Nor can it be too thin and cling to the body. The ideal fabric breathes with her, a chiffon with just the right drape, a soft polyester blend, or light satin silk. These materials know how to move with the knees, how to catch the light, and how to pause before becoming too showy. And the length? Never to the ankles, that would age the silhouette. But never above the knees either, that would lose the subtle charm. The sweet spot lies just below the knees or midway down the calves, enough to provide coverage, yet still whisper of lightness. Then there's how she pairs it. A sheer silk blouse tucked in softly, or a fine knit sweater gently shaped to define the waist without exaggeration, or even just a crisp, plain white shirt, clean, quiet, no need for explanation. Because everything is designed for one purpose, to never outshine the skirt. Because when chosen well, this skirt does the rest. The hem speaks the things she doesn't say. It carries the emotions she hasn't expressed. It reminds every passing glance, not with loudness, but with grace, that she is still moving, still living, still brushing tenderly against the moments of her life. Not all skirts can do that. Only the ones that truly understand women can. And sometimes on a quiet morning like today, as the wind drifts through the porch and her skirt catches a rhythm of its own, she realizes what makes her beautiful isn't whether others notice. It's whether she can still feel her own beauty in every subtle motion. Because not all music needs instruments. Some songs need only a skirt, swaying softly in the breeze. 3. Bias, cut skirt, being yourself without shrinking to fit. There's a particular kind of fatigue that only women over 60 truly understand. The quiet tension of always having to hold in your stomach, pull yourself in, walk just so, every time you put on a fitted skirt. Not because anyone told you to, but because after so many years you've gotten used to adjusting, to fit someone else's gaze, to align with a version of what looks right. But then one day, you catch your reflection in the mirror, wearing a bias-cut skirt. Soft, not tight. Not shapeless either. Just gently resting on your body, exactly as it is. No shaping, no sculpting. Just following. And, for the first time in a long time, you don't pull your stomach in. You don't shift to one side to look better. You simply stand upright, natural and beautiful. Bias-cut skirts aren't mainstream. But the moment you try one on, you understand why it's considered one of fashion's most delicate secrets. Unlike the traditional vertical or horizontal cuts, a bias cut follows the diagonal grain of the fabric, creating a deliberate, graceful drape. It doesn't hug like a bodycon, but it doesn't float away from your curves either. It skims the hips, falling just where fabric and body naturally meet, as if listening to each subtle movement. This technique allows the skirt to mold itself to your shape not with elastic, zippers, or buttons, but through the very nature of the material. And because of that, you don't have to brace yourself to look presentable. You simply relax and let the skirt do the rest. To let a bias-cut skirt truly shine, the fabric must whisper. Nothing stiff, nothing overly shiny, nothing heavy. Silk for a quiet evening, light satin for days when you crave a touch of softness, elegant crepe for special occasions, or fluid jersey for your everyday steps. The key is that the fabric doesn't glare under the light, but knows how to reflect it gently. So when you walk up the stairs or turn slowly down a hallway, the hem moves like warm water. No belts, no layered fuss. Just a cropped cardigan with delicate buttons, a high-neck silk blouse, or even a plain white tee, perfectly pressed. That's all, because a bias-cut skirt doesn't ask you to perform. It doesn't ask to be the center of attention. It just asks to be seen. In that one quiet, exquisite moment that the rest of the world might miss, but you won't. There's a quiet strength in this softness. Because a bias-cut skirt doesn't demand you make an impression. It asks for one thing only: presence. You don't need to do anything. Just be fully, gently, honestly in every step you take. And in an age where everything feels so rushed, women over 60 hold a rare kind of power, the freedom to choose differently. To choose softness. To choose ease. To choose a skirt that doesn't try to make them someone else, but brings them back to themselves. So naturally, they forget they ever struggled with their reflection at all. Because sometimes elegance doesn't come from shrinking. It comes from standing wholly in the body you have now. Still soft, still confident, and still, without question, beautiful. 4. Tailored pencil skirt. Sharpness without the volume. There are days when you don't need a flowing hemline, a breezy blouse, or any softness at all to feel like a woman. You just need to walk into a room, a late afternoon meeting, a quiet gallery, or simply your favorite corner cafe, with your posture straight, your gaze steady, and a pencil skirt tailored to fit you down to the last inch. Not everyone understands the quiet power this skirt carries. It doesn't glide like chiffon. It doesn't sway like satin. It stands clear, decisive like a drawn line between ambiguity and assurance. But it's not rigid. It's composed. It's refined. A kind of control only a woman who's lived through many seasons can truly possess. After 60, tightness is no longer the standard of beauty. Beauty now lies in intentional fit-in, how a skirt doesn't try to constrict the body, but gently defines it, honoring every honest, subtle change that time has etched. A well-cut pencil skirt understands that curves don't need to shout, they just need to be seen. The waistband doesn't sit so high it steals your breath, but just right, offering shape without pressure. The hem doesn't hike up when you sit, nor does it drown your legs. The ideal length lands just below the knee or around mid-calf, balancing outer elegance with inner ease. And if there's one design detail to refine, it's the back slit. Not too high to draw attention, but enough to let your legs move freely. The grace here isn't in what's seen, but in the space that allows you to breathe, shift, and lead. A quiet opening that says, I'm not here to be restricted. I'm here to move with dignity. How to wear it? It never needs to be complicated. A silk V-neck blouse, a gently fitted knit top with a round neckline, a soft cardigan loosely tied at the waist, maybe a small silk scarf not for decoration, but as a soft interruption in a thoughtful, refined look. The colors don't need to shout, just a line, as calm and intentional as the way you show up in the world now. Because the pencil skirt isn't for women looking to make an impression. It's for women who already know who they are and no longer need to prove it with volume. Every seam, every stitch is measured not for attention, but for substance. That's why this skirt doesn't feel out of place in today's world. In fact, it feels more relevant than ever in an age where loudness is starting to feel exhausting. And maybe one slow afternoon, as you sit by the window with a book in hand, coffee gently swirling, and the skirt softly resting around your legs, someone passes by. They might not look directly, but they'll sense it. Here is a woman who doesn't need to raise her voice to be seen. Because the truth is, when something is tailored just right, it becomes a statement. Not through words, but through the quiet confidence of its presence. 5. Wrap skirt. A gentle embrace around a changing waist. There's a quiet kind of moment that often comes on slow, early mornings. When she stands before the mirror, holding her favorite skirt, and realizes the zipper no longer glides up quite as easily as it used to. Not because she's gained weight, not because she's let herself go, but because her body, like her life, is still evolving month by month, year by year, in its own quiet rhythm. That's when the wrap skirt steps in like an old friend. No questions, no judgment. Just a soft fold around the waist that's begun to soften with time, as if whispering, "Take a breath. However much room you need today, I'll make space for it." Unlike rigid skirts with fixed measurements, the wrap skirt doesn't ask a woman to hold herself in. Instead, it adapts. Some days, it hugs gently. Other days, it lets go a little. But always it stays with her. The tie at the waist, deceptively simple, becomes the center of her freedom. No zippers, no buttons, no limits. And there's something deeply feminine in the way the skirt crosses softly in front, not hiding, not flaunting, just quietly covering the lower belly, where the signs of aging often first whisper into view. Not to conceal, but to honor. To truly feel like an embrace, the fabric must feel like kindness. Linen for dry, sunlit days. Rayon, soft as skin in warm lamplight. Jersey, stretchy and forgiving. So gentle, she forgets she's even wearing it. Not too thick to feel heavy. Not too thin to feel exposed. Just enough to move with every breath, every turn, every sit and every rising again. And the prints, they should never shout. A quiet vertical stripe that elongates the silhouette. Tiny scattered florals like petals from a soft dream. Or a solid hue-dusty rose, fresh olive, sun-washed beige-like brushstrokes painted across a still, late afternoon. Styling a wrap skirt should feel like writing a handwritten letter. It needs space, softness, pause. A breezy blouse tucked in loosely. A plain, gently fitted tee. A light, ruffled neckline top that dances a little. No belt required. No rigid lines. Everything should follow feeling, just like the way she wears the skirt. Not to change who she is, but to walk with who she is becoming. And maybe one quiet afternoon, as she steps outside and a breeze catches the edge of the fabric, the hem lifting gently around her legs. She won't feel like she's wearing a skirt, but like she's wearing her own softness, not fitting into an old version of herself, just feeling right in who she is today. Because sometimes what a woman needs most isn't a new silhouette. It's the feeling of being embraced completely, tenderly, by the very body that's still changing, and still hers. 6. Soft MAXI skirt. Elegance in a slower rhythm. Late afternoon. Sunlight spills through the trees, casting long shadows across a leaf-strewn sidewalk. A woman walks slowly through a quiet neighborhood, the hem of her skirt swaying softly with each unhurried step. No heels, no rush. Just a calm silhouette like she's listening to herself. The soft maxi skirt doesn't dazzle. It doesn't catch the eye like a short hemline or demand attention through dramatic movement. But that's exactly what makes her stand out in a deeply personal way. A quiet presence that walks alongside her age, the golden light of evening, and the peace that comes with no longer needing to hurry. A maxi skirt isn't made for every occasion, but at a certain age it becomes essential, not to hide, but to offer freedom. Freedom from feeling the need to shrink. Freedom from trying to please the eye. Freedom from measuring each move. With its floor-grazing length, the maxi skirt creates a space of her own, unconstrained, unflashy, and wholly intentional. Its elegance isn't just in the length, it's in the fabric. Lightweight cotton for mornings spent watering the garden. Voile that floats like breeze during a morning walk in the park. Rayon that flows just right, making her feel like the skirt is moving with her. Or sun-washed linen, faded through many quiet summers. The one rule: stay away from anything too thick, too stiff, too heavy. Those don't speak of freedom. They just feel bulky. The silhouette matters too. A soft, straight cut, not tight, not billowy. Just enough shape to carry grace while letting the woman bring her own presence to life. A soft waistband, a gentle drawstring, no zippers, no fuss. Just one wrap around the waist and everything falls into place. Styling a soft maxi skirt doesn't require a plan. A simple fitted tee tucked in. A soft blouse with puff sleeves and a square neckline. A cropped cardigan tied gently at the waist. Everything should remain minimal so the skirt can breathe and the woman can feel. Accessories, they don't need to sparkle. Just a pair of pearl studs. A soft woven tote. A simple flat shoe, that's all. Because true elegance isn't in the embellishments, it's in the way she walks, unforced, unhurried. Perhaps that's why the soft MAXI skirt feels made for women over 60. Because when the world grows quieter, we finally hear the rhythm of real life. A rhythm that doesn't compete, doesn't clamor, just shows up present, whole, and beautifully grounded. And sometimes all it takes is the brush of that skirt catching the breeze to remind her youth isn't in what moves fast. It's in the woman who still feels softness in every step. And in that moment, she is radiant. Some mornings you don't rush out the door. You just stand a little longer in front of the mirror, not to fix anything, but simply to look. Really look at the woman standing there. Maybe somewhere along the way, you told yourself you were past the age of dressing up just for you. But if today, just one skirt soft, well-fitting, tuned into your body, makes you feel like stepping outside, chin lifted, then maybe it's not just a piece of clothing. Maybe it's a quiet return. If any skirt in this video stirred something in you, just leave a 1 in the comments. If not yet, 0 is enough. I read every one, gently, quietly. And if one day you'd like me to continue, not about skirts this time, but about the shoes that walk beside you, or the blouse that lets you feel free again, just whisper a word or two. Enough for me to know you're still here. And if next time you come back, not for advice, but simply for a reminder that you're still beautiful, that you're still fully alive, then this channel will still be here. Never loud, but always open, waiting in just the way you need it to.